surprising we've gone 40 minutes on today's show without talking about this game. To be I think we should be commended, really. I think we've done a fantastic
Think so?
job. I think so. I think we've done a good
I was
job.
playing a little bit while you were doing the lobby.
Oh, were you really?
Yeah.
I was playing a bit this morning. All right, let's jump into it. Overwatch. It's out. It's finally out. You can go buy it. Is a game you can purchase. If you want, you can buy some weird loot crates. We bought $40 worth of loot crates. Didn't really get all that much out of it, to be completely honest. But that's a discussion for another day. Mike Mahardy, you were reviewing this for GameSpot. It's almost hilarious that you're reviewing this game, considering we've been playing it for what seems like an eternity.
Yeah.
4 months. When will the review be hitting GameSpot?
6 a.m. Pacific tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty much scored and everything. The review's ready. We just wanted to do our due diligence and wait like 48 hours. The servers are completely fine. Just like if something happens to go wrong in the next 12 hours, then we didn't want to risk that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's ready to go up.
So there's a review in progress up on the site at the moment if you want to check it out. If you have any questions for Mike, please put them in the Twitch chat. I am keeping an eye on it. Before we get him involved, Eric Tay,
What's up?
how you doing, my friend?
Doing all right.
I always feel like you're a very good barometer for online shooters, whether or not they're going to be popular or not. Because, like, for instance, there are games that I enjoy online shooter-wise, such as Overwatch, or games that I do not enjoy, but end up being very popular, such as Destiny and The Division. Yes, thank you.
Fair enough.
So I guess what's your sort of take on this? We went to BlizzCon 2 years ago. We were the first preview GameSpot ever did of this was the two of us waxing lyrical about how much fun this game seemed to be already. Now that we're on the opposite side of the launch, what do you think about Overwatch? What do you think about its sort of lasting appeal, its mainstream appeal, how popular you think it's going to be?
Definitely still fun, even though like you said, we've been playing for a while. Now that you asked me that question, though, it's kind of interesting because I'm kind of wondering, like, will this at all have a Titanfall effect?
Right.
At all? You know, like, could you see yourself playing for 4 weeks just like, yeah, Overwatch, and then like 4 weeks later, you're just like, yeah, Overwatch. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. Like, I think I'm still having fun. Everyone, like, my Battle.net list is full of people playing this game, so it's been fortunate for me to be able to play with other people, which is one of the big reasons you play a online shooter, multiplayer online shooter, is because you have your friends playing. So if it has that Call of Duty effect, I could see myself playing for a while because, you know, you hop on for an hour or so, like you're playing, I'm playing. It's like, hey, let's squad up or something, let's play. Then I could see myself playing for a while. But, you know, there are only so many modes right now, you know, challenge or the kind of the league type, more hardcore things not out yet. So it'll be interesting to see kind of like the landscape in a month. But I think definitely for now, it's a fun game. Again, $40 at least on PC, non-Origin, I think is fair. You know, the loot box thing's kind of weird, but, you know, it is what it is. Yeah,
they'll always get those whales. Mike, how are you feeling about it?
I like it a lot. So we put up the review in progress. Like you said, we had already played like 60, 70 hours of the game or something up there. It was a pretty definitive review in progress. I love the game. I think it's a fantastic game. The best part about it is you can play like this amount of time and still be finding new things with new characters that work well on this map or against that character or with this character. There's all these layers that keep revealing themselves the more you play with the game, and that's why it's so great. And despite how like flashy it is, it seems simple at first. There's only 4 game modes, 3 regular ones, and then a hybrid, 12 maps, 21 characters. It doesn't, like essentially 21 classes, really complicated classes.
Yeah.
But then the more you play it, the more you realize how much there is beneath the surface. And that's why like I keep playing. It's just to see like how I can master this character, learn this one, figure out how I could have done something better in hindsight with this character. It's a really engaging learning process, and it still hasn't stopped.
I mean, it's funny when we talk about the amount of content that's in this game, that always comes up in terms of review scores or in terms of asking price and whatnot. And I think about some of the games that, like, some of the first-person shooters specifically that I would consider like in my top 5 of all time or whatever. Like, I'm a huge FPS fan. FPS is definitely my favorite genre, and to be completely honest, I've been burnt out very much so on FPS games for about 5 years. I feel like they haven't really done much at all. I feel like the last great FPS was Half-Life 2, and we've sort of been, there's been some interesting ones like Titanfall I definitely liked, but we haven't had any like great new games, except maybe Team Fortress 2 is probably another good shout. And the thing that sort of like strikes me about when I think about those games is like when I think about all the time I spend playing Counter-Strike, and that was like 3 maps. Like there were more maps, but nobody played it. Nobody, Aztec came up every once in a while, but it was like you were playing Dust, and
Dust 2.
Office got rolled in, and Dust 2, and then some lunatic on Counter-Strike Source would play Compound, and then but that was fine, and there was enough, like the moment-to-moment action was enough fun in its own right to get you to keep playing and to keep playing and to keep playing. And I've not felt that with an FPS game probably since then, since like 2004 with Counter-Strike Source and beyond. And this game just has it in spades. Like it has that, and then it also has these 21 characters, which, just like you said, it keeps unraveling itself. Like characters that I think I know how to use. I keep learning new things about them all the time. But yeah, I guess Eric, you're right. There are some games that they come and go, like your Titanfall, which was a wonderful game, but petered out. And then you've got games like the last big game that sort of rocked this office in Rocket League, which was a game that we just enjoyed it so much, and there was enough people playing it that we kept going back to it. And I guess probably another way in which that got longevity was because they just kept releasing content for it. What do you think about that in relation to the sort of longevity of Overwatch?
Again, like the only thing we know for sure is that there's going to be kind of like a more hardcore type tier of gameplay, right?
Yeah.
Like for your, esports type people or whoever. And so I think that the novelty and the fun of it's always going to keep people like us playing. I feel that way because it's like Rocket League. Right? We have a lot of people to play with.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it's going to be like, again, in like a couple months like from now, because will all the characters be enough for you? Are these enough game modes? Do you still have enough friends playing? Is the drop off of friends playing stopping you from playing? Because like most people don't like solo queuing. I don't like solo queuing. So that was kind of like the one hurdle I was afraid of with this game, was just like, if they all stop playing, if you guys all stop playing, I probably won't play. But I still think it's gonna do pretty well for now, because there's like I'm trying to think of like big games coming out like soon, and I don't think I have any too many coming out. So definitely going to be playing for a while, and I still have fun. And like I said, it's got that Call of Duty effect for me, where it's like, okay, I know I'm going to hop on and play.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, if there's anyone's good at keeping people playing a game for a long time as well, Blizzard are pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Some questions coming in. Philander is talking about his fear with multiplayer games when I guess you're stuck playing with people you don't know. What do you think about that, Mike? When you're playing this game, when you're reviewing it, are you constantly going into groups of other people? Do you play with pubs, and do you sort of consider that as part of the process?
Yeah, I mean, this game's really good of whether you're playing with people you know or whether you don't know, in the sense that if you're playing with people you know, the communication helps a lot, right? You could, if you're Zarya, say, I've got my Graviton Surge alt ready, and your friend who's Hanzo will be like, oh, let's do it, like launch Dragon Arrow into it, name escapes me. Sorry. But it's also good about, like, there's so many accessible ways to play it, right? You can play as a Mercy if you're not like a typical shooter fan,
Right.
and you don't want to like be berated by these hardcore players, right? You play as Winston, who doesn't require a ton of accuracy. You can just go right into the fray. You can play as if you've played a lot of Titanfall and like that, you'll probably acclimate to Diva or someone. There's a lot of entry points into this game, but then it's really good at communicating how to play it in like really good, like visually, audio cues, like you hear it's high noon, you want to get out of there. Like you start to realize it after a while, after you die 3 times or after you hear that. This game's really good at communicating its ideas in a way that you can play it as from a hardcore perspective, but you can also come into it from an accessible standpoint that doesn't really sacrifice any substance in the process.
I will, like, just to slightly counter that, or just to play devil's advocate a little bit. I'm waiting for more of the people to start playing, of course, and 2, to kind of stop playing it from a deathmatch type of perspective,
Right.
because there's a lot of people not doing what they're supposed to do, getting on the payload, getting to the checkpoint, defending these checkpoints. Like you said, even when we were playing together, we ran off one time and we almost lost because of that, right? And that's really frustrating. Or a good example was I was playing with Chris and maybe a few others in the office, and we happened to have a Widowmaker that was on offense, but it wasn't necessarily a good map necessarily for her. She was killing people, and he was like, oh yeah, I got 20 elims. We're like, well, you're not helping capture the point, and you're not helping us hold the point, so maybe you want to switch. He's like, no, but I got 20 eliminations. I'm not changing. And it's like, well, okay.
I mean,
so that's the fear. That's like the slight fear.
I guess the fear I have is that, and I think this is probably why they're going to launch their, ranking sort of skirmish or mode or whatever they call it. It's a competitive mode they had in the beta, right? Like, because eventually you're going to have this situation, which is definitely what happened in Counter-Strike and other games, where there is this massive like skill floor where you've got or probably watermark is better to describe it, where you've got a lot of people who are very, very good at the game. It's like when you try and play Gears of War after a month. It's like a nightmare because everyone knows how to do the road you run around the corner and to use the shotgun and all that. And this is a game, like many Blizzard games, that requires them to really split apart those two groups, to allow like the raiding groups in WoW to have their fun, and then to allow the adventurers who just want to walk around the Elven Forest for 40 levels do their own little thing as well. So I think that's probably what I'm interested in. But it is crazy that we're talking about this game in those like terms. We're not saying, is this a game, is it going to sell? We're talking about, is this going to be the next biggest first-person shooter for like 2 years?
Yeah.
Like that's, I feel like, where this exists.
To address your point today, I completely agree, because there are people today, like even I still sometimes, maybe not so much anymore, but there were times when I caught myself, like you were just saying, it's like, oh, this isn't team deathmatch. What am I doing? Like I'm playing Zarya. I shouldn't be worrying about just like chasing this tracer endlessly. I think the game itself, the way it communicates those things, like, you know, the post-match voting period where you kind of like recognize your teammates who, this Lucio healed this percentage of the team's total damage, this Mercy did the same, this Reinhardt absorbed this much of the shield. That way, I think that's a way to encourage people. Like you can, there's not one way to play this game, but you should be focused on filling roles. And also, like, I think it does a good job of, when you're building your team, it says there's no tank heroes, like a red bar. Like, I think people who are willing to pay attention to this game and kind of suspend their habits, they'll find something they really like here that really encourages teamwork and encourages this nuanced approach, like as a team against like your opponent. But yeah, it will get frustrating after a while if competitive mode doesn't come along soon enough and we're still playing with these people who are Widowmaker every time on offense, just worrying about, you know, eliminations and whatnot.
I mean, I think it says a lot that, you know, people are already kind of figuring it out and the game's only been out a day, and like looking at the Twitch chat here, like it's literally just a group of people saying, oh, but this character does this and this character does this and this. Like they've managed to make a game where there's 21 different like individual classes basically, where people like they're getting it, like they're asking people to be smart. It's not like Call of Duty, it's not like what we've been fed for so long, like even games like Halo where it's just like, just shoot the dude. Like they're actually asking you to use your goddamn brain for once. And that's, I think, why I want this game to be successful, because it's a thinking person's shooter, which for years we were being told was not the way to get the mainstream audience to play it.
Yeah, a shooter doesn't always have to be just about shooting, like we've kind of been conditioned to believe lately. You know, that's why like I like old school Battlefield games. That's why I'm excited for Battlefield 1. It's about this substance that you find, like these things that you talk about after. Be like, remember when, you know, Rob and I flew that biplane in, and I was hosing a few like them in a dogfight. And this game hasn't even come out yet. It's a tangent, but Overwatch, you know, like it's good about, you know, Junkrat's really good about closing off these choke points and kind of trapping people when they come around. You know, Winston can just disrupt this objective by jumping in with his ult and raging, and he might get down, but he's going to buy time for Zarya to literally just stand next to this payload, so we have a few extra minutes for everybody else to get up to the checkpoint. I think the way that the game communicates to you visually and in its user interface with the voting period and the actual team building and the audio cues and the way it actually punishes you for not playing the character well.
Right,
not like a you're a casual player, what are you doing? It's more of kind of nudging you in the right direction, and I think it assumes you're intelligent, which is pretty special for a shooter.
Right.
For games in general, it's pretty special, which is sad to say. But I think this game communicates itself well enough that more and more people will quickly get on board with what it's trying to do.
It's going to be very interesting to have a chat about this 6 months from now. I'm very much looking forward to it. Mike, when is the review going up again?
6 a.m. Pacific tomorrow, which is the 26th.
Okay.
Cool. I have no idea.
It'll be, yeah. This video may be live by then or not. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
But yeah, you can check out our review on GameSpot.com right then. All right, we're not done talking about Overwatch. I want to have a little chin wag about. I said that because you're here.
Wait, what was the other one? Donkey?
Donkeys.
Donkey years of first-person shooters.
So it was Donkey's Years. Which is, because
that doesn't make it any better. That's just plural.
I thought somebody said donkey ears, donkey's ears, and for some reason my brain couldn't parse that it was donkey's ears, not donkey's ears. Donkey's ears. That's
fine.
Crazy
it's like
Irish
bad
people.
Time, right?
No, donkey's ears is just a long time.
Oh, okay.
The halcyon days.
The halcyon days. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Helicon days.
Poor day.
I used to say for
the Holocron days.
What's that called? Synecdoche? Is that the place?
The movie is like Synecdoche. Well, the real town in New York is Schenectady.
Schenectady. And the movie's called Synecdoche, is it?
Well,
it's a play on words.
It's Synecdoche or something.
So that's the thing. I used to, when I lived in Ireland, I don't have a clue about this place in New York, so I called it Synecdoche, New York. I had it on DVD.
Right. That'd be a really great sign to see on the highway. We might as well pull off there, find a gas station.
Yeah,
we won't get murdered or anything.
Anyway, Yeah, the chat's full up now. Chalk and cheese, donkey's ears. Yeah. All the idioms I've had to leave behind, or apparently haven't. Anyway, let's not talk
It's
about
endearing.
Let's get back to the chin wag.
Yeah, we're going to have a nice old chin wag right now.